I wish we had a timer on that note, right? Oh. So if you have one of our bulletins today, would you pull it out and just look at the cover for a moment? And if not, you can see the image on the screen behind me. Just look at this little guy, huh? And this little dog. And go ahead, let's everybody say what's really on our mind. On the count of, oh, yeah. I mean, so precious, right? So precious, you can just feel the love that's there. Now imagine with me for a moment that it's tomorrow morning and you get up and you go and look in the mirror and you look at yourself and you go, oh, huh? Why is that so hard? But it is, isn't it? Oh yeah, we can behold all that we want to the preciousness of this little guy, but take one moment to begin to regard ourselves, and well, it all kind of shifts. We forgot that we were, what?
Not first thing in the morning.
Not first thing in the morning, anyway. Oh, okay, all right. So we'll give you till noon. We'll give you till noon. There you go. You know, we forget that we were once that precious, and we forget that the same love that is in him is also in us, right as we sit here just now, and even first thing in the morning when we roll out of bed. It is the truth. And friends, I got to tell you what I believe. I believe unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, that if everyone in this world really loved themselves, we would have world peace. In fact, we wouldn't even be talking about world peace. Because if we were that full up of love within, that we could give it to others too, we would all want the best for everyone. We would know that the love that we are is in them as well. And together, we wouldn't all agree, but together, we would live in a world of peace. I absolutely believe that with every fiber of my being. And so that's one of the reasons that we are in this series called Love for No Reason. Love for No Reason. It's the title of a book by Marcy Shimoff, and it's about a state of being. It's not an action verb, really. Love for no reason is about living in this state of being that is pure love, and it's regardless of any outer circumstance. Regardless of what's going on out there, regardless of who's in our life or where we are or what job we have or don't have, it is a state of pure being of love. Charles Holt has written this book called Intuitive Rebel, Turning into the Voice That Matters. It's his story of having grown from a boy in small town Tennessee to Broadway, and now where he lives in Los Angeles. And he tells his story in this book, and he talks about a pivotal moment in his life where he began to ponder love. And he says, now I was finally stopping to ask, what is love? It seemed like an elementary question. However, I intuitively understood that delving into this question would require nothing short of a total transformation of the way I viewed life and its meaning in my day-to-day experience. And friends, I got to tell you, that's the truth. When we delve deeply into love, it is a transformative experience. A few weeks ago, when we started this journey together, I asked you, if you would, to identify your intention for the series, and some of you are still with that question. What is your intention at the end of the 6 weeks? How do you want to be different? What would you like to see expressed in your life? And you'll remember that in the series that Marcy Shimoff is interviewing 150 people she calls love luminaries, who just embody unconditional love. And one of you told me that your intention was to become a love luminary. Well, that's my intention too. I don't know that I'm going to make it in 6 weeks, but that's really my long-term intention. And so Charles Holt goes on to say, To truly have an understanding of the nature of love beyond mere emotionality is to understand that which is at the core of humanity. Love is the source of all creation, the dynamic, eternal force at the center of our universe. And that's the truth about love. And so that's the journey that we are on, about understanding it, but not just understanding it, living from this place of love for no reason, not because of anything, not because of any person, but just the love that indwells us always. So today, we're going to continue our discussion. And you'll remember that Marcy Shimoff is using as a framework for our exploration the 7 chakras of the body, the 7 energy centers of the body, because love is an energy center, right? After all, love is an energy. That's what it is. We know love because we feel it. We feel the energy of love. So last week we talked about the first 2 chakras, and the chakras roughly line up in this line, this vertical line in our body, starting with chakra number 1, which is at the base of our tailbone. And that's all about exploring safety, grounding ourselves to live and feel and know safety in our lives. Because if we don't feel safe, we can't feel love. Then the second chakra, which is just a little bit further up, it is still in the lower portion of our body, our lower abdomen. And this chakra is known as the doorway to vitality. It's about our energy, our energetic expression. It's also about our emotional self and feeling our emotions. And we talked last week about how important it is to feel your emotions, to not disregard and to not deny them. And that if you feel them, even the ones that you fear that are unpleasant, if you feel them, you'll get the message and move through them. As long as you're avoiding them, they hang out there being unpleasant and uncomfortable. So today we're talking about chakras 3 and 4. These are both directly about love. Chakra 3 is in the solar plexus area. You can even pat this area. It's right around where your navel is. And Shimoff calls this the doorway to unconditional love of self. To unconditional love of self, this solar plexus area. It includes your digestive organs, your liver, your pancreas. And it's really about being true to yourself, honoring yourself, who you are. And one of the first things that we can do to begin this exploration of unconditional love of self is to learn to love the unlovable in you. I mean, I know that, I can imagine that many of you are sitting there saying, yeah, self-love, I know that sounds so good, Patricia, but you just don't know. You just don't know about me. You don't know what I look like when I first get up in the morning. You don't know what I've done. You don't know where I've been. Shimoff says we've got to step into this place of loving the unlovable part of us. And so maybe where you start is right here. Maybe you say, you know, I can't love myself. So you start by saying, I love the me that is afraid to love himself. I love the part of me that can't quite love herself just yet. Or maybe you say, I've done so many things in my life and I just can't forgive myself. You tell me God forgives me, but I can't forgive myself. So then maybe what you do is you say, I love the part of me that is not yet able to forgive herself. You see, you just step back. It's as if you just embrace yourself. You step back and you behold yourself. Say, you know what? I love you no matter where you are. I love you if you can't love yourself yet, but I love you. And I love you if you haven't let go of the guilt you feel about things you've done. I love you, and even the part of you that feels that guilt, I love you. You see, there's a higher part of you that can do the loving within yourself. It sounds a little confusing. You start to have split personalities, but the truth is there is this higher part of you, and it is God, and it is in you, and it can love you. And that's what you want to open up to as you love the unlovable part of yourself. What gets in the way? What gets in the way is the voice. I'm not talking about the TV show here. I'm talking about the voice, you know the voice that's in you, the critic, the inner critic. She calls the voice, Marcy Shimoff does, your inner mean girl or your inner mean guy, right? This voice that is always comparing and criticizing. She says, my mean girl had a steady job, and she didn't want to lose it. She was successfully employed full-time, pointing out every unlovable part of myself and every reason I wasn't getting love from the outside. Anybody here have an inner mean guy, inner mean girl? So what she suggests is that you give it a name. That you give this inner mean guy or this inner mean girl a name. Now, who's got a name that we can give your inner mean girl, your inner mean guy? Holler it out. Maggie? Nagging Nat? Okay, nagging Nat. I like that. Nagging Nat. The first service we had Bubba. Which just made me feel bad for my Texas roots. So we're going to go to... So nagging Nat doesn't exactly take me to any place in particular except that I know that voice. So here's what the suggestion is that you give this voice, when you notice it calling you out, when you notice it criticizing you, you give this voice a name and you speak to it and you say, nagging Nat, I'm going to choose not to listen to you anymore. I'm going to choose to hang up the phone on you. And I know you mean well, because here's the thing about this voice that we got to get. This voice, this inner mean guy, inner mean girl, nagging Nat, it criticizes you because it wants you to be better. It believes that you can be better. It believes that you can be happier. It's well-meaning. It's the well-meaning voice probably of parents or authority figures or who knows what. So it probably means well, but it's still time to divorce it. And so you say, nagging Nat, I am not going to listen to you anymore because I know better. Now, what you're going to realize is that there is another part of you that is your higher self. It's the only part that could talk to nagging Nat. The only part that could talk to nagging Nat or to Bubba and really put it in its place is the higher self of you. And there is a higher self that knows better. You might even want to explore journaling back and forth between the inner mean guy and the higher voice in you that knows better. You know the inner mean guy voice, now talk to it. And who else would talk to it but your divine self? So that's one suggestion that she gives. You see, one of the reasons that we don't choose to love ourselves is we just think we're not worthy. But part of learning to love yourself is being compassionate with who you are and to ask yourself at any moment, what is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? What is the most loving thing you can do for yourself, the most loving way you can be with yourself? And the more the reason that the chakras are a good format is you can feel into this center of your being here. And if it feels closed or it feels anxious or knotted up, like you've got that pit of the gut feeling, then it's not open, it's not strong and healthy. So you bring love to that center and you begin to work on loving yourself from that place. And one of the great tools that we have to open up all of our energy centers to more love is something called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Most of us know it as tapping. How many of you have ever participated in tapping in some way? Yeah, you have, right? And some of you have probably forgotten about it, but it's a great tool. You tap on the acupressure points of the face and the upper body, and as you do that, you open up the flow of energy within you. In fact, as a companion to this series, we've arranged to have a tapping class here today at 1:30. So if you'll come back today at 1:30, Bouquet Kanubi Scholes will lead you through that. It'll either be a refresher for some of you or brand new for others of you. But it's the opportunity for you to really open the energy flow of love within you. Okay, so being compassionate with yourself. The other piece of this third chakra, this doorway to unconditional self-love, is taking back your personal power. This energy center is about honoring yourself and your personal power. So you want to begin to notice, where have you given that power away? Where have you lost boundaries or never set them, such that you've become a doormat for others, such that you've lost your ability to say yes or to say no. Instead, you're just answering to whatever others ask of you. If that's true for you, if you find yourself not confidently being able to express your thoughts and your opinions, then that means that you have shut down your personal power. And you want to notice that. You want to notice that. And the more time you spend meditating in this space, the more time you spend learning to love yourself, the more you'll be able to take your personal power back. There is a very poignant and difficult story in our book about a woman who experienced physical and emotional abuse in her relationship. And the story is about how she learned to love herself and take her power back. It is a difficult story to read, and it is a powerful one. And no matter where you may be in your life, maybe you're not in a situation that's quite that extreme, but you can look at her story and begin to say, where have I given my power away? Because I wanted to believe in someone so much. I wanted to please them. You know, that nagging gnat voice, that Bubba voice in us, often was a teacher who said, you must please others in order to be worthy of love. That is the main message that voice says, and that is not true. It is not true. It is not true. Any love that comes to you only because you're pleasing someone is not pure love. It is not pure love. Okay, so that's the third chakra, the doorway to unconditional self-love. You know, the best place you find out about that in the Bible is in the book of Luke, when Jesus speaks about the prodigal son. He tells the story of, you know, the son who takes his inheritance and goes and squanders it. He asks for it early before his father's even passed, and his father says, sure, and he takes it. He goes off to the far country, he squanders it, and he hits rock bottom. He hits rock bottom. Now, you know what rock bottom has been for you. Some of you are there today. The story tells us that he came to himself. In other words, he started to listen to that inner voice that wasn't nagging gnat or Bubba. He began to listen to the divine voice in him. And that's when he turned, he went back to his father. And his father welcomes him with open arms. His father throws a great big celebration for him. He gives him the fancy ring and the beautiful robe, and he kills the fatted calf. And he welcomes his son who had been lost and now is found. And the point of that story is how it is that nothing, no matter what you've done, has ever separated you from God's love. You may have felt separate, but you weren't separate. And so there's a part of you that is God. There's a part of you that does love you, wants to love you. And as you attune to that part of you, you will know unconditional love of self. All right, now we're going to move up. We're going to move up to the fourth chakra. You want to put your hand on your heart center for me? Yeah, if it feels comfortable. This is midway up the chakra centers. There's 3 below and 3 above. The heart center. And this heart center encompasses your heart, your physical heart. It encompasses your chest, your arms, your shoulders. And I like to think of this heart center as just opening your arms to embrace the world. You know, just opening your arms to love the world, and you're so open with your love that you receive and take it in. You know, think of it not just as your physical heart, but moving energetically out to this whole part of you where you can just embrace the world. That's your heart center. That's your heart center. And Shimoff calls this the doorway of openness, of open-heartedness. And it includes kindness and compassion and forgiveness and gratitude. All of that. Some say it's the meeting point or the bridge between the mind and the body, because they think of the lower 3 chakras as more physically oriented and the upper 3 chakras as more spiritually and mentally oriented. So the heart's right in the center. It's the meeting point of the two. Now, lots of research has been done on the heart. Lots of research has been done on the heart. For years, we thought that the brain was the only CEO of the body. But what we've come to learn is that the heart actually sends more messages to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. The heart is a receptor of intelligence. And what we've also learned is that when the heart is in coherence, when it is beating smoothly and in coherence with the rest of the bodily measures, when that is true, then you're actually smarter. In other words, you can actually perform better on tests. Because when your heart is at peace and open, then you're actually smarter. The energy of the heart can impact others within a 3-foot radius. Most of you in this room right now are within 3 feet of somebody else. So the good news is that we had that beautiful heart-opening meditation that Eileen did, the beautiful heart-opening music of Charles Holt. And so our hearts are pretty open. So we are collectively this one great big beating heart. Now you may feel your heart is closed, and there are times, even in the midst of all this love, when you feel if you feel into that energy center, it doesn't feel open wide. There's something in you that's resisting. Love that part of you too. Don't feel like you're not performing adequately because your heart feels closed. Just step back and love that part of you. So we're talking about this open-hearted space within us. And much of the research that has been done comes from HeartMath, the institute that we have HeartMath computers in our bookstore, actually, where if you want to just see how coherent you're feeling, they'll hook you up to these electrodes and measure your level of peacefulness, your level of coherence. They're beautiful computers. They paint this beautiful picture on the screen. The more coherent you are with your heart, the more the beautiful picture fills out with colors and butterflies and what do you call them? Unicorns, all kinds of really cool things. Okay, but I digress. So how are you going to open your heart center? Well, the biggest tool, the greatest tool is giving. We talked a few weeks ago about random acts of kindness and giving just to give. So I want to invite you today to give some random act of kindness before 1 o'clock this afternoon. The other folks got till noon, but you've only got till 1 o'clock. Okay, I'll give you an extra hour. And that gift might be a compliment that you pay someone. That gift might be a hug. It might be a gift. Maybe you buy Charles's book and you give it to somebody. It might be any kind of a gift that you can give. It might be a phone call. You call a family member that you haven't spoken to in a long time. But give just randomly without expectation in return. When you give, in fact, when you serve, when you step into volunteer service, you know there's the helper's high. You feel better. You do. You feel better. And there's all manner of health effects that happen from that. So giving is so important. I'm inviting you to make a commitment to give some random act of kindness today before 1 o'clock. Now, second is receiving. How many of you heard it is better to give than to receive? Yeah, I heard that. Most of us grew up that way. It is honorable and good to give. But not necessarily better to give than to receive, because as we learn to receive, we're actually giving a gift to somebody else. When you really receive, you are giving a gift to someone else. And it's not always easy to receive graciously, to really take it in. We shut down that part of us the part of us that thinks we're unworthy, just shuts down the heart and we don't open to receive. So here is my request of you to practice learning to receive. And that is, when you receive a compliment from someone or a tangible gift, to just say thank you. To just say thank you. Last week, I had the opportunity to receive lots of wonderful comments. I'm a part of the South Central Unity Region Board, or I was until Thursday. I retired on Thursday from that position. And so at our conference this last week, many people were coming up to me to say nice things. I assumed because I was retiring from the board. Now that could just be the nagging gnat voice in me. It may be that they just wanted to say those nice things, period. But I defended myself saying, well, it must just be because I'm retiring, because it was hard for me to take them in. But knowing that I was going to be giving this lesson, I tried to just say thank you. And my tongue is a very holy tongue today. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Where is Gary Spalding? I don't know where Gary is, but Gary said something very nice to me earlier, and I had to bite my tongue so hard. Thank you. So I want you to experiment and practice with each other. If you're here with a friend today, or maybe with a significant other or a roommate, I want you to practice today giving and receiving compliments to one another, or to just the people as you leave today, and just say thank you. We're just going to practice and practice and practice and practice, because eventually you'll get to where you can say thank you effortlessly and actually take it in and imagine that the person really means what they're saying. Because why else would they say it if they didn't mean it? It's up to you to decide that you're going to take it in. So giving and receiving are ways that you can open up the heart chakra here. Volunteering and service. And if you still find that you're feeling that your heart is closed, and you can tell, you may not be able to tell right now in this room, but you can tell if you sit still. If it doesn't quite feel open, then ask yourself the really tough question. Is there some forgiveness that wants to happen here? Is there some forgiveness? It might be forgiveness of yourself. It might be forgiveness of someone else. Don't dismiss the question offhand. Be with it. And if what you find is that there is some forgiveness, then just ask your higher self to guide you in that process. Begin this journey of forgiveness. And of course, there's gratitude, and we know all about how gratitude expands. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Some of us are still keeping a gratitude journal. Many of you made a commitment to keep a daily gratitude journal. My own gratitude journal has now migrated to where every morning before I put my feet on the ground, I stay in bed until I have at least 5 gratitude thoughts. At least 5 gratitude thoughts. That way I start the day with my heart already partially open. So I want to do an exercise with us here. And this is heart math. It's a very simple exercise that you can do to open your heart. And it starts by just becoming still and bringing your awareness to your heart. Sometimes it helps to touch your heart center if you'd like, but you don't need to. But it may help to place your hand on your heart and just become aware of that part of your body. Your beating heart, the energy around it. And begin now to intentionally breathe in deeply into your heart center. Taking in a full deep breath into your heart, breathing in and holding it for an instant, breathing out and resting. Just heart breathing, it's called, breathing in and easily out of your heart. And now I invite you to bring into your awareness something for which you are grateful. Could be a place that you visited, a particular experience where you felt so aware of love. Might be a pet. Could be a person. Allow to come into your awareness something that you deeply, profoundly appreciate. And while still breathing in and out of your heart, re-experience this place, this thing, this person. The feelings, the fragrances, the details of what was present. And when you're ready, open your eyes. You can do that exercise anytime. And if you have a decision to make, do that exercise and then entertain your decision. You will be wiser and smarter when you make your decision after that experience. The steps were focus on the heart. That's number 1. Breathe in and out of the heart. That's number 2. Call into your awareness something you appreciate. That's number 3. It's that easy. Okay, so we continue through our series. We give you lots of tools to make it successful. Some of you are reading the book, some of you aren't. It's okay either way. It's even okay if you're in a circle and you're not reading the book. Read the summary at the end of the chapter. That's a good idea. And listen to the lessons. Listen to the recordings or view them on video at the end on our website, ucop.org. We also give you every week, or we have given you a study guide. There's still some left if you'd like to pick them up. They have a study guide for each week with reflective questions and suggested actions that you might want to take. We create an affirmation card for every week, and the affirmation card is in the lobby brochure rack. There are some for each week. They all kind of look the same until you read the affirmations. So, but there's some for the past weeks as well as today. So pick up today's card if you'd like to have that. What we're giving you each week are images that invoke the idea of love for no reason, and our Fall Faith art is definitely one that invokes love for no reason. So, so I'd like to invite you, if you will, to join me in reading today's affirmation. It's on the screens behind me. We're going to speak this together. I love who I am exactly as I am. My heart is open to loving and being loved. Let's read that again. I love who I am exactly as I am. My heart is open to loving and being loved. This is powerful. This is powerful. So the statement is also in your bulletin. You know, in the upper right-hand side of the bulletin, all the Fall Faith material is there. So keep this handy near you. Speak this throughout the week. Pick up a card, put it on your dashboard, so you will have this as a reminder of the truth of who you are. And, of course, don't forget our tapping class today at 1:30. And we've got another class that's next Sunday, but we'll talk. That's in your bulletin. We'll talk about that when we get to next Sunday. I'd like to close today with a story that Marcy Shimoff tells about Melissa Etheridge. Now, you may know Melissa Etheridge. She's a Grammy-winning, Academy Award-winning singer-songwriter. And back in 2004, she got hit by the proverbial 2x4. She got breast cancer. She immediately knew that it was there to teach her something profound. Now, I know that every woman's experience of breast cancer is different. I've walked with some of you through your journeys. Every woman's is not necessarily the same as Melissa Etheridge's, but I want to share with you how she describes her journey. She knew that somehow this cancer was here to help her learn more about love. And even when she would sit in the chair in the hospital receiving the chemotherapy, she knew that she had a choice between love and fear. And here's how she described it. She said, I understood that I had cancer and was on chemo for a reason, to connect with love, to connect with my higher self, and then walk my life in that love from there on out. I experienced that I couldn't feel love and fear at the same time. Now, she's saying this even as she's in the chemotherapy chair, that she couldn't experience love and fear at the same time, and therefore she sought to experience love. She said, I experienced that I couldn't feel love and fear at the same time. They were like magnetic opposites. The love pushed all my fears away, and once they were gone, I could see how small they really were. The fear of how I look, how old I am, whether I have enough money, all the usual yardsticks that we measure ourselves in this material reality, they just broke away. And there was a deep sense that I am enough. I thought, again, she's right there in the chemotherapy chair, she says this. She says, I thought I could just sit here in this chair and be completely enough. I don't need anything else. That's love for no reason. That's love for no reason. And she goes on to say that that experience of love changed every relationship in her life. The little ones and the significant ones were all transformed. She learned through this experience of cancer that receiving was important. She'd always been a giver, but she had to learn to receive. She says, when cancer knocked me down and then the chemo knocked me down, I saw that letting people give to me was more healing than if I were to say, oh, no, I can take care of it myself. It was healing for me, and it was healing for them. Receiving their loving care deepened my relationship with everyone around me because I was finally able to say, you know what? I need help. Let that love come on in. So she was in the midst of treatments when she received an amazing invitation from the folks that were sponsoring the Grammys that year. They wanted her to come and sing Janis Joplin, A Piece of My Heart. Well, she wanted to do that. She got it right away. She was on a journey of love, and to sing that song would be huge for her to do. But as she began to do her calculations, she realized that the Grammys were going to come right after her treatments, and she would be totally bald at that time. And she said, I'd be bald in front of hundreds of millions of people worldwide. But then, of course, she realized that she'd made this commitment to choose love, not fear. And so she accepted the invitation. She describes it this way. She says, I got up on that stage bald as can be and sang my heart out. And the rewards and the reverberations of that choice are still coming back to me. More than 5 years later, people are constantly telling me, oh, that performance you gave at the Grammys changed my life. My mother was going through this, or my sister was, or I was. And watching you, I realized, hey, if she can do it, I can do it too. This morning on Facebook, I saw a post from Stephanie Barton. She's from this congregation. She has a business called Angels Insight. And she was sharing about an experience with her 6-year-old daughter. They were sitting on the floor drawing mazes and puzzles, just making up mazes and puzzles and drawing them. And Stephanie noticed that at the end of each of her daughter's puzzles was a heart. And she said to her daughter, she said, I noticed that at the end of each of your puzzles is a heart. And her daughter said, well, Mom, shouldn't all paths lead to the heart? And Stephanie said, yes, dear, all paths should lead to the heart.